It's a matchup that I'm sure we've all seen at least a handful of times. Chaos versus Space Marines, but not only that, the two tanky boys from each of the factions. You've got Valhero here, playing as the Plague Champion of Nurgle. You've got Dark Riku with his main, the main of old, ye old Apothecary. The tankiest of all the Space Marines, and you guys know that them Space Marines be very hard to kill. Now, I believe this will be uploaded after a video that I done with Kickin' and Dark Riku, where Dark Riku was the Plague Champion on Fedrid Folly. And in that video I spoke about the power of turrets and encampments up in this top area. And the same thing is going to apply. You've got a few options to take out those encampments. I mean, flanking with tactical marines with flamers or missiles can do okay. You got your Dreadnought with its flamer. But ultimately, I think this gives a big advantage to the Plague Champion. That said, this is a relatively large map with a few garrisons over here, and I think that helps scouts compared to heretics. As always, heretics are going to have a bit of an advantage early on. Certainly for their costs, you know, they deter the scouts, and if you blob them together, they can take on the tax. But at the same time, you know, scouts are faster, scouts are able to kite them and bleed them. We'll have to see. Really, Chaos's power comes from the spike in effectiveness with the Aspiring Champion, and then in tier 2 with all the synergies with demons. Otherwise, scouts are just superior. Like this right now doesn't feel amazing. Nah, it's alright. He baited out the AC. He baited out the scouts coming up. Ooh, but these guys are going to get shredded by the attacks in melee. Oh, this is actually a really bad engagement. Yeah, this is awful. He goes for Aspiring Champions, does Val, and he still loses the fight. The Aspiring Champion here is doing a lot of damage, but thanks to the Apothecary heal, completely going to be negated, and the scouts are coming back. So that's a crazy amount of bleed right there. Obviously, Val didn't kill anything, but this did buy him time, because of course the attacks were fighting over there. It meant there was nothing to contest these guys. These guys you can't contest with scouts, obviously. You need a proper ranged unit like the Tax and Apo combo. So, Val's been putting on a bit of pressure here onto the farm, but it's not really a big deal for Dark Riku. He should be noding this Riku, though, because he's going to lose the power here. Or renode this. Yeah, he renodes that. He should probably also node this, because he's very lacking in power right now. He's going to get the resources in rec for the ASM really soon, but not the power. So I think that's a bit of a mistake from Riku. Maybe he just wanted to preserve the rec to instantly build a gen? No, he just wants to have an imbalanced economy. Oh well. He's actually going for an upgrade. What did he just go for? Oh, wow, he's going for the flamer right now? Okay, Riku, you really should be dropping gens then. If you're going to purchase the upgrade, he should be dropping 2 gens right now. He's not doing very good economic management here. But Valor's actually facilitated this push with the flamer really well for Riku. Wow, this is going to work perfectly. Damn. Oh, this is not the highest level play from these boys ever. No way. Left himself super exposed there, did Val. He should have seen that coming from a mile away when the entire army was here and then didn't rotate across and down. So that's going to be a full gen bash for Riku, who did build the second gen eventually, and now his economy is slightly evening out. He should have built them a lot earlier. That was very late. It's going to be Noise Marines to try and combat the attacks here, but yeah, ASM on the way for Riku, and compositionally, I mean, you know, Noise Marines are a ranged counter, they're not really a melee counter, except partially for high model melee, but not for ASM. ASM are going to hard counter Noise Marines pretty bad, and then you get the Sanguine Chainsword too. That's going to be very problematic. I think Riku's comp right now is a million times better. So scouts can now flee, they can cap both of these points. You soft retreat with attacks. I probably should have stayed in play a little bit longer. No risk of bleeding a model. He can get back out of base quick with a heal from the Apo, and then this stops the Noise Marines running down so that he can get a double decap. Right now it's going to be, yeah, he can't get the double decap, you see. See, he should have kept the tax in play, distracted the Noise Marines, got the double decap, retreated the scouts, and then could push back out afterwards. Regardless, the ASM are going to hit the field. Looks like they maybe... Yeah, they must have jumped on these guys, killed a couple of models, but then the Aspiring Champion came down with his lads, and so the ASM backed off. They're going to rotate to the right, because, rightly so, Dark Riku is anticipating a Gen Bash in return from the Noise Marines. Now, whilst the Gen Bash was definitely impactful for Riku, it did mean that he lost the map control on the west side of the map, because of course he had all of his forces dedicated to going for that Gen Bash. But so long as he can hold his power now, whilst he pushes back out and takes the west side of the map, then this is looking good for Riku. Should get to tier 2 a lot sooner. Val only just replacing the gens now. You'll see they're not fully built, so it's going to be delaying his power income a fair bit. Now, Riku has spent a lot actually. He just bought Purification Rights and he bought a Sergeant on the Scout. This is a bit interesting that he's taking the fight here without the Scout. The Scout's only just coming in now. It's going to be a good ASM jump. He lands on both the Noise Marines and the AC Ticks. Wants to focus down the Noise Marines. 2 AC Ticks are now on the field. Flame attacks are going to do a lot of DPS onto those Heretics. Apo should probably tie up the Noise Marines and then allow the ASM to jump on the Heretics and keep the pressure on them. You see, right now, having the Apo and the ASM both in proximity of the Noise Marines means that one single Cacophony usage is taking both of those units out of play. Looks like the AC Ticks managed to somehow get one of the attacks. I'm not sure who the CSM and the Plague champion were focusing in this engagement. Of course, now that the Scouts have presented themselves, they need to be focus fired by those ranged units. And the whole time, of course, remember, we've got a naked Scout squad in the corner, capping up more of the map. Going for a wipe here on the Aspiring Champion. ASM jumping in. Will they get it? Attempted save by the Nurgle Worship, but it is in vain. Too low HP. You know, you can add 3.5 HP regen, but it doesn't really matter when you're about 50 HP too low. So again, that's a really big win from Dark Riku, man. I mean, he bled one tack. He might have lost a Scout model as well. Not a lot of bleed relative to all the Heretic models that were lost from Val. A couple of Noise Marines died too. And then, of course, he's just had his Aspiring Champion Heretics wiped. In terms of the tech race, in terms of the compositions, the armies that are on the field, Riku definitely ahead. Riku starting tier 2 now. We're going to have another 10 power or so for Val. But Val has a significant VP lead here, and recall what I said at the start, this is a great map for the Plague Champion. If he just wants to close out the game on VPs at some point, he can just build a load of structures up here on the hill, turrets, shrines. It's going to be really hard for Riku to push him out of that position. Might be a situation where Riku wants to get tier 3 and start dropping orbital bombardment. That's one of the best things that global is used for, is actually taking out structures, since you can just pop, 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 instantly take out 3 structures. But of course that requires tier 3, and that's going to be a lot of time, which Riku doesn't really have. Riku committing very heavily once again to the Gen Bash. I guess he really wants to close the game out right now. But the thing that concerns me is it's a very high risk play. Oh, nice touch of Nurgle here. Yeah, he's going to get the defenses. Val, you see, this was a risky play from Dark Riku because he's bleeding VPs whilst he's doing this. Riku's staying in the fight even with a touch of Nurgle. I guess there's not a lot to support it right now. Jeez, he's actually killing the Heretics here. Another explosion though. I don't know, that's kind of rough. Where are the rest of Val's forces? Okay, the Noise Marines are coming back out now. I forgot he lost one of the Aspiring Champion Heretics, so he doesn't have that many forces. Riku just tanks the touch of Nurgle and stays in the fight. What the fuck? This is really quite incredible. Plague Champion attempting to force melee onto the Tactical Marines. His damage over time with the CSM Focus Fire is going to kill one of those models. But Riku wants to keep them in play and he gets 2 gens. Riku's going for the fast Razorback, trying to close the game out relatively early. Nice grenade there on the Noise Marines. Now Noise Marines are at risk of being wiped by the ASM, and they are. ASM wipe the Noise Marines. ASM absolute chads with the support here of the Apothecary, nearly wiping the Heretics. One more chainsword hit would have probably killed them, and now the CSM are thinking, damn, now we're alone, we have to fight these guys? Not ideal. They do take out 2 of the Scout models. Apo pops his heel, probably wants to retreat himself. At some point, the default scouts did manage to capture the contested VP, and it's going to be Bloodletters as the first choice for Val. Val I mean, I don't know. Does he think he's not behind in tech? Well, he's going to know in a second that he is very much behind in tech. Yeah, and so we see him cancelling his Mark of Tzeentch upgrade there. He's going to want the power instead to go for Plague Marines, most likely. You could run a Last Cannon Havoc, technically would be cheaper, but that's going to be difficult when you've got these very powerful ASM roaming around. Level 2.5 on the ASM already. Of course, there is Purification Rites as support. The Apothecary is now grabbing his Anointed Power Axe. So Val's not even going to play that game. He doesn't care. He's just going to ignore the Razorback, apparently. I'm not sure how well that's going to go for him. We'll find out. Oh, Angels of Death. Yep, that's an engagement you cannot win if you're the Chaos. Instant army versus army engagement winner, that global right there, the Angels of Death. 50% damage resistance to all your troops and knockback immunity. I mean, you really cannot be taking that on unless you've got super serious advantages in terms of military forces. So the Blood Crusher is the option here for Val. I mean, yeah, the Blood Crusher can zone the Razorback. Obviously, the heavy bolter shots here into the vehicle armor of the Blood Crusher not really going to do a whole lot. And if the Blood Crusher does get close to the Razorback, it can kill it. But of course, it's slower. So what you do is you're just zoning out the Razorback. Wherever the Blood Crusher goes, you can sort of push the Razorback away. At least until anti-vehicle comes out in the field. Now, we don't see any upgrades here on the tax. You've got two options there. You could go for the missile, but the downside of that is you're going to then trade worse against any Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines that might come out. Or you just go for Stern Guard, which is probably actually the best choice in spite of the fact that, again, you're not going to be able to trade with Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines, because you then get Kraken rounds to help counter the Blood Crusher, but you also get Hellfire rounds to kill Heretics and Bloodletters and Plague Marines. So the Blood Crusher grabbed a couple of models there from the Scouts, a little bit of Miss Micro from Dark Riku, but nothing major. Just a bit of Wreck Bleed. I mean, not ideal. You know, it's still 70 requisition thrown away for no reason. And Dark Riku, once again, sending those flame attacks down. They have got their value easily. Wow, an attempted use of Slaughter here. I guess they would win, were it not for the Razorback support. The Razorback is going to prevent that from working. Look at the difference in the levels between the CSM and the TAX. TAX actually swapped to the missile launcher, so that's going to be their play, not Stern Guard. I think the Stern Guard would have been really nice, just to have the high DPS against literally all of the tier 2 threats here, basically. Bloodletters, Plague Marines, swap to Kraken, swap to Vengeance rounds, you can hurt the Blood Crusher. I don't think CSM are really that big of a threat. And Val doesn't even have the power to upgrade them to the Mark of Tzeentch and get the Aspirant Champion, which would be a beautiful source of anti-heavy infantry damage. But Riku's very low on VPs, so he's the one who's going to be having to turtle up on this side of the map, it seems. Now, he's only just got the Tactical Space Marines as Dark Riku, so he won't have And There Shall Know No Fear yet. Wow, it looked like that Purification Rites didn't even do any knockback. But the heal there just completely negating the damage of the Bloodletters. You see, level 4 Apothecary, every time he gets 2 level ups, his heal gets stronger and stronger. And level 3 Tax as well, so they've got way higher max HP than they normally would. Able to just tank beautifully. So if we compare the compositions right now, this is, oh my god, he's got a freaking Last Cannon as well. Jesus, yeah, I definitely would have gone for Stern Guard then if you're going to get a Last Cannon too. He's got a Last Cannon, Melter Bombs, and Missile Launcher right now just for a Blood Crusher. That's quite a lot of AV. I mean, generally you are going to need more than one source, because, well, A, the Blood Crusher can just type your ranged AV, but then there's also Bloodletters to do so. I just think, when you've already got a Last Cannon, you've got Melter Bombs, do you really need missiles? Surely vengeance rounds would be sufficient, and then you'd have good damage against all the light infantry threats. I don't know, strange. Bloodcrusher derping around here, going to use its raw, but there's going to be another missile shot going in. I'm not sure if it's going to get out. Tactical Marines need to walk forward, so they don't get blocked by line of sight. Oh, they kill it. Yeah, so didn't even need the las cannon, just killed it with the fucking... just killed it with a missile launcher. A poked charge, apparently. Yeah, you just got to be careful where you charge around the maps. It's kind of annoying, it's quite obtuse, it's not really telling what parts of the map you can charge past and what parts you can't. And it can seriously screw you over. Plague Champion a lot tougher now. He's got his Power Fist. Doesn't have his Armour of Pestilence, but kills an Assault Space Marine relatively fast there. Needs to get out though. With that Power Axe Apo and a Librarian also in the combat. Bloodletter's coming down. I don't know about this. This is a lot of forces here for the Marines. He's got Touch of Nurgle on them. Yeah. So Riku just going to retreat there. Wow, he used Angels of Death and he still retreated. Damn. That's actually really good for Val. Now, Touch of Nurgle's explosion damage scales with the HP of the model that's blowing up. So, you know, normally you use it on Heretics because they've got a load of models so they can keep doing chain knockback. And also you can force the explosion via Doomblast. But using it there on the Bloodletters in tandem with the Worship, quite powerful. That would have been a crazy amount of spike damage when they died, and it would have healed the other Bloodletters up to full. And then you're topping off their HP with the Worship. It could have been effective. Certainly made Dark Riku respect it. Double Bloodletters. Damn. Well, can Val use his demons well enough? That's the question. No upgraded armor here for the Razorback, but not going to be able to get into... Yeah, can't catch the Razorback here, especially with double... sorry, fucking hell. Especially with ASM jumping in. Did the Plague Marines shoot? No, they didn't, did they? Damn. A lot of damage coming into them here. Librarian and Scouts focus fire. The Heretics, oh my god, annihilated those Heretics with a smite there from the Librarian. Very aggressive usage of the Razorback here, but it's all just a bait, because of course the ASM and the APO are there to tie up the Plague Marine, so it doesn't really matter. And Val's gonna have to just get out of there. Placing his Heretics, he obviously needs the Heretics for the Worship support when he's got double Bloodletters. The problem is that Val bled way too much in Tier 1. He fed so much XP to the Marines. These Marines have been level 3 for ages, when basically all of Val's units have been level 1. Even at this point, the CSM, which obviously have come from Tier 1, are still level 1. So of course he can't compete with the Marines here. You've got a fucking level 5 Apothecary, level 3 Tax, level 3 ASM, level 3 nearly level 4 Scouts even, and you're rocking level 1 units. Doesn't have his Armour of Pestilence on the Plague Champion. I don't know. At this point it feels kind of hopeless, not gonna lie. Riku is Tier 3. Holding on to them 53 VPs. Maybe if it was another map there would be hope here for Val to get some sort of cheeky back cap going, but on this kind of map... I don't know, man. It's so hard to take these 2 points. And you're playing Chaos, which is a lot less mobile than Space Marines, so... I don't really see how you're going to outmaneuver the Space Marines and get these back caps and stuff. You've got the CSM going down here, they're going to cap, but... It's just a contested. It's just going to be a 1-2. You're still going to be bleeding VPs. You've got to somehow decap both of these at the same time. And I don't really see how Val can do that. Dark Riku probably just gonna take for a fucking Land Raider Redeemer at this point. He's gonna go for a Dreadnought in Tier 3. Interesting. Well, I mean, it counter initiates the Bloodletters. It will support with Inspiration procs. a Plague Marine is not really a threat. The DPS is too low, and you've got many melee units to tie them up. 3 relatively durable melee units here, plus the Dreadnought itself. But the Dreadnought should not be just chasing the Plague Marines. The Dreadnought should be back protecting the Tax, the last cannon, Scouts, counter-initiate the Bloodletters. Just running around a Scout Squad with 1 model to try and cap. Perishes when it meets the Chaos Space Marines there. I don't know what the plan is for Val. He's clearly waiting for something, but what he's waiting for, I'm not sure. He's got the red for another touch of Nurgle. I don't think it's going to make any difference, though. We've got a Razorback here to reinforce. Here's the Dreadnought. So Val's going to take the engagement in the middle. He's got Touch of Nurgle on the Heretics, but it doesn't matter. They're too fucking fragile at this point. Even with a Touch of Nurgle, they just get wrecked and melted. And now with no worship support, just yeeting the Bloodletters around, because they're only level 1, so they can't proc specials against the ASM. Or any of these guys, really, and they've all got a good chance to proc specials. Well, you could proc it against the Librarian. You've got that piercing DPS the whole time from the Razorback. Going to be taking down the Plague Champion. Not quite, he's going to use that ability on the Plague Fist, gives him that 90% damage resistance to ranged, but not enough time on it. Yeah, he got the little bit of a decap, drains a few VPs from Dark Riku, but that was it. He loses his Heretics again, he's bleeding, and he's pushed off. I mean, he's probably going to have time for another go. Oh, and look at this. The Scouts have rotated to attack the contested. It's going to be a 3-1 in favour of Dark Riku. Yeah, Val's screwed. This was... I don't know, this was a game that definitely went in favour of Dark Riku pretty much from the start, to be honest. That very first engagement with the 2 Heretics. The fact that Riku's VP's got this low are really quite something. I think Riku really needed to calm down with the gem bashing in tier 2. I think he actually kind of gave Val a win con, a VP win con, because Val was always behind in terms of military, there's no doubt about it. I mean, look at Dark Riku now. He got this Dreadnought so late after taking tier 3. If Dark Riku had more VPs, he could have easily just waited and got a Land Raider Redeemer, and then obviously a Land Raider Redeemer against a tier 2 fucking Chaos, you would just win instantly. But he couldn't. He probably felt like he couldn't do that because Riku was on so low on VPs. He needed units out ASAP. But why was he so low on VPs? Well, it goes back to the constant, insistent need to gen bash. And look, those gen bashes were really effective early on in tier 1, but I think later on, when he was pushing super deep to bash 1 or 2 gens, it's just quite excessive, not really needed. And if there was an engagement here where Riku allowed Val to get a triple cap against him, and Riku took the fight here, and he managed to... Okay, Val... Yeah, it doesn't matter, he loses. Val managed to somehow lose the engagement, and I honestly don't even know how Riku stayed in. It was when Riku ate the Touch of Nurgle. I feel like Touch of Nurgle definitely needs to be 150 red, man. It's not that good anymore. But that's a whole different matter. If Dark Riku hadn't won that engagement and he was forced off whilst allowing the triple cap for Val, then this could have been a game that changed entirely. I just don't think the value of risking that and bleeding so many additional VPs from Dark Riku's perspective was worth killing 1 or 2 extra gens. Like, because you've got to remember as well, not only... So, the advantage for Riku isn't... Like, he killed 2 gens, great, but he also ceded map control, so he gave Val more requisition to replace his gens quicker. And he also let Val capture these 2 points, and if you own these 2 points, even without noding them, that's the equivalent of a gen. So, you know, you're seeding VPs, you're seeding your rec points, and you're seeding these 2 power points, which is basically a gen for 1 gen gain if you bash 2 gens. I don't think it was worth it, but regardless, it worked out for Riku in this one. His Marines proving quite superior to the crappy little Forces of Chaos in this game. If you want more of this kind of thing, I dare say high level, because I feel like this was not the highest of levels, but yeah, it was okay. You've probably got games like this as well on the Patreon. That's where you can find them. We've got over 35 casts on there that are exclusive to the Patreon. As soon as you subscribe, you immediately get access to all of those casts. Please do, if you can afford it. You would be supporting the channel, and it would be greatly appreciated. But that is all from your boy Torpid this time. I am going to be signing out.